Hey Double O's, Blake over at Bond Life Chicago with another Double O fight breakdown. Today, Diamonds Are Forever, the end of the movie, Bond versus Mr. Wint and Mr. Kidd, with Tiffany Case kind of there. Not a whole lot of technical fighting in this one. Bond versus either Mr. Wint or Mr. Kidd, physically one-on-one, probably really isn't much of a face-off. Bond's probably got the upper hand on both of them. But as we see throughout the movie, Mr. Wint and Mr. Kidd do seem to be pretty capable assassins throughout the film, as they do kill several people in some pretty witty, creative type ways. But obviously, the main thing, again, not having a lot of technical fighting in this scene specifically. What I do like is Bond really relies on his senses and his situational awareness. We've gone through that on several different occasions with these fight breakdowns. Bond knows his surroundings. He's able to use his surroundings to his advantage, whether it's using it as a weapon, a defense, what have you. He does a lot of that in this fight, as well as his senses. He's the world's greatest spy. Excuse me. He's the world's greatest spy, which means he should be at a heightened level of awareness, which he's able to use to his advantage in this scene. Without further ado, Bond and Tiffany are on the boat. It's the end of the movie. We think he's won. And Mr. Wint and Mr. Kidd show up. They're presenting this lavish meal to Bond and Tiffany at this point. And Bond makes one comment, oh, that's an interesting aftershave. Be able to put something in the ground, hinting at maybe he is familiar with what this person smells like. Obviously, he's been around them several times at this point and throughout the film. But they're still continuing to provide the nice meal. Then they open the wine, or they've already opened the wine. He's already smelled the aftershave at this point. And now he's testing him again a little bit more. You think that there'd be this type of wine for it. Oh, we didn't have that one. Well, the wine you provided me is this type of wine. Again, now he's confirmed, it's not just somebody that shops at the same store, buys the same aftershave. This guy is actually a phony. He's not really a waiter or a maitre d'. But as this is now continuing, he goes on a little bit further. Now he's going to just let them know that he knows who they are. And he says, the last 2 times I've smelled that aftershave, I've smelled a rat. And now they know they've got to go into action now. Mr. Kidd lights the 2 meat skewers that he's preparing, which they look like they're on like metal skewers, and then on top of that they've got meat. So now he's slowly walking up to Bond with the 2 meat skewers that are on fire. And as he's doing that, Mr. Wint jumps up from behind Bond, and he's got like a chain on his neck, but he's taking it off at this point, and he's trying to choke Bond. Now if we do want to find some technical fighting in this, Bond does a good job of first defending the choke. As I've said in multiple fight breakdowns, if you don't defend the choke, you're going to get choked out. Because if you're going to try to do something else while you're getting choked, you're going to choke, you can't breathe, you're going to pass out or die. So Bond does a good job. He's kind of pulling on that. It is tough when you've got a string that's choking you to try to defend it by grabbing your hand here, because ultimately you're actually going to be taking up more space by doing that. But if you're able to get enough in there and be strong enough to pull, you can kind of relieve some of the pressure on your neck. And I'm assuming that's what Bond's doing here in this point. At first, he goes with 2 hands, but then once he gets enough space, he realizes he's got to do something about Mr. Kidd approaching him with the meat skewers. And he's able to reach to the cart that's right next to him, off to the side, grab a bottle of alcohol. I don't know exactly what it is. It almost looks like a brandy or like a Patron. But he grabs that and he breaks it off the edge of the table, and he's able to kind of splash the remains of what's the alcohol that's in the bottle towards Mr. Kidd, which splashes off the flaming meat skewers onto him, lighting him on fire. From there, first we hear Tiffany kind of make a hee sound, and then Mr. Kidd, basically starting on fire, runs overboard and just flips overboard screaming. Now Bond's still trying to defend that choke from Mr. Wint. Mr. Wint has him in, I want to touch on this. Again, not a whole lot of technical fighting, but if we're going to find a little bit, Mr. Wint has the premier advantage here. He's standing up. he is trying to choke Bond, and Bond is in a sitting position. So even if Bond tries to sit up at that point, Mr. Wint can either continue to push him down, or if he allows him to, he's actually going to choke himself further by trying to get up and away from that pressure. He's actually going to guide into that pressure. So he does a really good, or he's in a pretty advantageous position at this point. Tiffany does prove herself a little bit useful at this point. She goes to grab the cake, the bomb surprise. If it was an actual cake, I'm not really sure exactly how effective it would be in hitting somebody in the face by throwing it. Maybe a little bit disoriented, but really probably not too major. But she throws it, and Mr. Wint kind of steps to the side and ducks and dodges at that point. And what this really does do is, as where I touched on, he had that leverage, that advantageous position by being on top of Bond, standing above him there. When he turns to the side, that relieves some of that pressure, not as much of a control point at that point. And what it does do is it allows Bond to kind of pull his arm and flip him over to the side there, and now breaking the choke completely. As Mr. Wint's trying to get up, Bond goes over and he kind of grabs his sleeve or his coat, but ultimately pulls both of Mr. Wint's arms between his legs, and now that's a pretty precarious position for anybody to be in, but especially if you're in a fight at that point. Bond able to identify that it wasn't an actual cake, there's a bomb inside the cake, and he's able to reach over, grab that bomb, and kind of strap it in with the coattails or the sleeve of Mr. Wint's jacket. And then he continues to ultimately, he just grabs Mr. Wint's arms, backing up, flipping him forward, does a front flip over the railing of the boat. As he's landing in the water, kaboom, he explodes. Fight scene over, and of course we get another one of Bond's good lines. He certainly left with his tails between his legs. Hope you guys like this one. If you guys have another fight breakdown that I haven't done yet, or if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out or ask them. As always, if you are serious about self-defense or martial arts, please find a local gym in your area and start training. It's a great way to stay safe, a great way to stay fit, and a great way to bring a little bit of Bond into your everyday life. Hope you guys liked it. See you soon.